Good evening, everybody. I'm Janice Dempsey of Dempsey and Windle. It was our great pleasure last year to edit and publish Harriet Proudfoot's first poetry collection, Findings. We brought the book out in May 2020 and had planned a launch in London, but COVID-19 put a stop to that. So it took us a few months to learn that we could launch books online. But now we're here, giving Findings the launch it deserves, however belatedly. In the meantime, sadly, the designer of the beautiful cover of Harriet's book behind me passed away. So this evening's event is also a commemoration of his talent and generosity in creating the wonderful image that you see behind me and which is on the cover of the book. Harriet has always been an energetic and talented artist in words. She taught in primary schools and adult education in London for many years, and her poems have reached appreciative audiences through literary journals and anthologies. So it's our privilege to have produced her first full collection. Reading with Harriet this evening are her two daughters, Kathy and Margaret, and Steph Bramwell, who has been a friend with whom Harriet has been singing in a choir for several years. And I think we have several choir members here too. So with no more from me, I'll hand over to Harriet, who is going to introduce and read the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Well, some of the rest of the evening. Janice, thank you so much. I'm not muted, am I?
No, you're
no, good. Janice, you've done wonders. You've been the most patient publisher in the world, I think. Thank you very much for all your help. And thanks to everybody who's come, whether they've come from this country or another one. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you. My first poem is one of my very first memories, and it's called Gift. My father lifted me from sleep out of my painted cot, held me to him through a rough grey blanket, took me out to see the stars, told me their names, sharing his sailor's love for them. Later, when he was old and ill, but not yet dying, I reminded him. He smiled. So you remember the stars. My brothers and I lived in the war and later with our grandparents out in the country. And this, during the war, there was very little petrol and there were no new agricultural implements. And so they used the heavy horses, these absolutely wonderful horses, and we were very small. And these horses were, I mean, giants. They were wonderful. So this poem is about the harvest. It's called Bone Vibrations. We children are included, are swept up in the harvest's wild sea. Men swing and shout, pitch up the golden wheat. Our one desire to ride the piled wagons, dipping galleons. We hang beneath, black with the axle grease. Strictly forbidden to ride, we wonder, watch, and will the huge horse, leg by leg, straining to start the wide load up the hill. Hedges snatch handfuls as it squeezes by. The harvest done, on the last empty cart, we are allowed to bump on the loose grains, home with this rhythm, this pace, exactly this. Now, there was a very great excitement. We'd never met it before because it must have been every 5 years or something. This is called Steamroller. We'd heard of him before we ever saw him, unmistakable at the little sideways wheel of the steamroller. He ruled. It trundled, growled along the old-made roads, a musical clang over any stone or hump, underscored by the slower hisses of the steam. The grit swathed sibilantly into the tar. He stood to drive it, lively brass handle glinting in the sun. He only came in summer. How could such a tiny handle claim to control that weight? He was small and smiling, not just confident, Black curls bobbing in the wind, gypsy elf rose. The very air of the village was alive after the dull years since the last thrilling visit. It seemed to take more years to reach our distant gate. The smell of tar, obliterating sound, intoxicated us. We popped black bubbles underneath our sandals, so small grit stuck to them all the way home. I was a child then. My eye, my fancy can be caught even now by a debonair curl. And then the war was over, so everything would be all right. This is called homecoming. His ship is due now. We've been up the hill to see the masts. But it's his captain who comes up the path, and slowly. His cap is on straight. He always comes back. The captain said, not this time. The captain's brought father's presents. I thought I wanted the shawl. Now, during the war, the men were very justly celebrated and often mourned, but it was very hard work for the women. It was very hard to get enough food, especially after the war, was really difficult. And I remember my mother working that hard, but there was another side to her. And this is called Invitation to My Mother. I want the whole of you. I want your folk songs looping round the good smells in the kitchen, your vigorous clashing of the pots and pans. I want your flirty, jaunty, offbeat Charleston, your ruthless slaps to win at Racing Demon, your salty, even vinegary wit. There'd have to be your elegant legs, stockings, not trousers, the tilt of your fur hat, the way your long skirt flicked out when you turned in the form and cream houndstooth check coat, your spot-on sense of just what would become you, not too expensive, and your lovely hands. So now I'm passing over to Catherine Catty to follow that one, please.
So welcome to Edinburgh for the next 3 poems. Hope you're wrapped up warm. It's cold here tonight. I was very delighted to be invited to read tonight and quite spoilt because I was allowed to choose the poems I wanted to read. They're all to do with people who aren't around anymore, but I think they're sort of celebratory as well as you know, wistful remembering, but celebratory. And the first one is about Harriet's mother again, my grandmother and my sister's grandmother, Peg. So, and this really spoke to me about her. If anybody has ever had a cake of mine, she started me off making cakes. So it's called Missing. Because this wooden spoon is worn right down and there's a polished slight depression from her thumb, she always stirred a white sauce vigorously. Because no one will meet me from the train or let me find bright flowers by my bed. Because there'll be no ginger cake for tea or folk songs swooping round the busy kitchen. Because I will not hear her run downstairs, arms out and crying, "Here they are, here they are." Because I don't put parsley on a peeled tomato salad or cream, angelica and cherries on a trifle. Because her dishes now are mine but empty. I cannot lift the phone and say, "Hello, darling." And this next poem is called Godmother, and it's about Harriet's godmother, Claire, who was a remarkable French lady of great character. And I have a lovely godmother in Canada who sent me beautiful books as a child, but I haven't got to meet her very often. So occasionally I got to borrow Mum's godmother, and she was my host the very first time I went to Paris, where I felt instantly at home. So this is called Godmother for Claire at 100 years old. She lived to be 104, I think. So this is the poem Godmother. I will make you slippers of leaves from your lemon tree, with softest linings made of love of poetry. I will knit a patterned waistcoat of all our favourite jokes, the ones each of us knows the other one will like, the ones I save up for you. I will sew you wristbands of many years of sun, knowing each other's families and lives, of pleasures and adventures we have shared, Brittany, France, Le Maroc, Tunisie. I will embroider gloves for you, small ones to fit your hands, to keep you from the cold, with orange, terracotta, scarlet, the colours you delight in, and sequins of the colours of the sea. I'll find a cedar cone and make a pendant, smelling of pine and opening like a rose, design a gown of poppies and ranunculus, with fiery waistband of crocosmia, first growing in your garden, now in mine. And the last poem I chose is in memory of a remarkable musician and choir leader and generous sharer of the music of his country, which was Georgia. His name was Edisha Gerekadnitsa, and Mum and I were both very lucky to do singing workshops with him. And I had the prospect of another singing workshop with him when he very sadly was killed in a car accident in 1998. But he did a huge amount to share the beautiful music of his country. And I know people from Australia to Edinburgh who sing that music as a result of knowing him and being taught by him. At the end of this poem, we're going to play a short piece by the choir that he founded, which is called Mtyebi, which means Morning Star, and the name of this poem is Morning Star. Sing a lament for Edisha, the eager, upright, gentle man, trusted in the wild villages, in the far mountains, welcome, the passionate, perfectionist, beloved. He sang and taught his country's music, so hard to learn and ravishing to hear, collected songs of the year-long work, digging, planting, harvests, and feasts and toasts, wild dancing, daggers thrown into the singing circle, soft boots stamping men's challenges. Even these songs cannot heal him now. Let the men's tender voices sing a lament for a dead son. May he rest in peace.
That was really beautiful. Thank you very much for sharing it. And we're going to move on to Steph Bramwell is going to read for us next. So Steph, would you like to unmute?
Hello, everybody. It seems a lovely idea that Harriet and I met by singing together, and we've just listened to that wonderful music. I don't know that we'd ever have sung it that well, Harriet, but we would have tried. The first poem I'm going to read is called The Water is Wide. And to be honest, I picked it because that's the title of a song. The water is wide and I cannot get over.
That's it, yes.
And it rang a bell in my mind. So this is Harriet's poem. The water is wide. The winter ferry on the Rhine, still working between snow and storms. Steps down and a coin for the ferryman. I leave the rich city's overhang. He steers by the current, his cord still attached to the mother wire linking the banks. No engine, drifting, held in tension with purpose to cross. Through the planks, the water's movement reaches, soothes. I am held, safe, can let go, rocked. The pleasure. We will land and find the mill pool in the sun, deep, transparent, silent, still. The mill race in the distance. The second poem has been written since the publication of Findings, so this is a new work, and it's called Recipes to Try. Recipes to try. To recreate a satisfying cake. Look up a possible recipe. Hope. Try it. Not right yet. Ask friends. Some remember approximately. Guess. Rearrange proportions, temperature. Add ginger. Bad idea. Plan to keep trying. To recall a melody. Spread your fingers. Invite the lost tune. Touch an imagined instrument. A dance move. Does my body hold the memory? Listen. A voice, a rhythm. Hum it. Nearly. Nearly, gone again. Try a scent for stimulus. Reach for the summer in a bale of hay. Spread drying clothes over the lavender bushes. Release the surprising apple scent of sweetbriar. Words have no smell. To call up a face. Look. Keep looking. Sketch to see what should be there. Look again. Revise. Decide the best materials. Ink, pastels, watercolor, oils. Enjoy moving thick, sensuous colors over the canvas. Still nothing like. Still gone. To try to mend a hole, a tear. Darn, patch, feel the fabric, not leather to silk, not chiffon to tweed. Discriminate colour, match cloth and thread, hold, pin in place while you stitch. This mend can never be invisible.
That was a lovely choice of poems. Of course, I haven't heard the recipes before. Really lovely. Thank you. And now we hear again from one of the Proudfoots, and it's Margaret this time. Margaret?
Hello. Yes. Hello. I'm Harriet's other daughter, I've, yes, chosen 3 poems. This first, because it reminds me of walking with my mum, but also her mum and her aunt. And in keeping with the title of the book, this is called Found Poem. Ladies' smocks in the grass, rushes, 3-sided sedge, dry underfoot in the damp places. Insidious brambles lie in wait. Bugle, yellow pimpernel, primrose, bluebells, and 2 white. The deer have been culled. Regrowings now, look. Twin cup-shaped cavities, deep green cotyledons, pointed shoots between. Little brown oak leaves close to the ground reach outwards. Transparent copper leaves wave thinly in the sun. Whitish buds struggle upwards, honeysuckle. Wood sorrel is sour, wild garlic hot. Self-heal, stitchwort, chickweed, speedwell, anemone nemorosa, Queen Anne's lace. From the window in the night, white grass, white frost. This is a very short poem that links back to Frank's beautiful photograph on the cover of Mum's book. Caught. One drop of yesterday's rain under a curving twig reminds me of diamonds hanging all across chicken wire. Or rain at night, veiling or blown across the streetlight. And this last one I've chosen because the artist mentioned was Harriet's aunt, and Katty's great aunt, who I think taught us how to look at things and how to really notice. It's called The Statuary of Sheets. Winds make sand waves. Miles inland are tractors' furrows, white with seagulls. Sheets dry on lavender, on sweetbriar, absorb green apple taste. Double sheets on the line, we trew them up, from me to you, from you to me. Prospero's robe carries his role. Cloth's weight embodies his authority, his power, his presence. Movement is petrified in Christ in majesty, cathedrals, saints, Chartres, Notre Dame. Stillness holds sanctity, power perpetual. Waves of the Virgin's hair almost smell sweet. Mary in flowing stone offers her breast. White sheets in a deep bath, their owner dying. My back strains with the wet weight. To wash them, such a puny tenderness for a dying artist. The folds create and recreate beauty so brief, even she will survive it. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Margaret. And now we're going to hear again from Harriet. Harriet, are you unmuted? Yes, you are.
Thank you, yes. Just saying hi to me. For 26 years, I was part of a group, I'm still part of the group, that worked with a very remarkable teacher of movement and meditation who came from Indonesia, called Suprapto Suryodharma. And very often we went in the summer to Avebury in Wiltshire, which is the biggest stone circle in Europe, I think. It's the most wonderful place. And one year I noticed that the grasses, they were really everywhere and they all looked different. So I wanted to find out what they were called. So this is called summer solstice. I want to dance from here to Avebury, the whole stone circle, every megalith. Lost in the ditch, flying the chalk bank, rooks above, jackdaw below, foxtail, leatherleaf, slicing couch. Tread down a circle in the grass, spangletop, squirreltail, timothy, sharp, juicy smells under our feet, cool stalks between our toes, an audience space for witnessing the dance. Touch the stone's age, 2 arms length wide, white giant, rough under fingers, sparkling. Late it's still light. Rooks fan their way home, move in the space between the 2 clocks striking. Tufted, quaking, cocksfoot, sedge. That teacher, Proudfoot, told me that after the bombing of Hiroshima, there were 6 trees still alive. So I wrote this poem. It's called Ginkgo biloba, Survivors of Hiroshima. We are old, Paleolithic, 200 million years. Tall, 100 feet. Unique species, maidenhair tree. Our fair hair floats in the little wind. 6 of us near the hypocenter. Pressure 5 tons. Temperature 300,000 degrees. We knew we were resistant to wind, snow, insects, disease, to frost. We found we can live through fire. Leaves gone, twigs, branches like claws, bark melted into rivulets, parallel currents. We are hibakusha, eyes fused shut. Slowly, we creak off the shock, refind our trunks, begin to recognize their changes, dare to think of growing. Sap inches through the branches, dares to resurrect the seed. See our green skirts of aerial roots, excited by disturbance into life. The pale gold light through our 2-fold fans. These hold our story now. And there's one poem last, which is called Moving Still, and it's dedicated to Helen and Proudfoot and all dancing friends, several of them here this evening. Moving Still. In my garden, 11 pale orange poppies bounce with the bustle and rummage of the bees, whose weight unbalances each one in turn. Cool silk chiffon petals, almost impalpable between my fingers, are gone by midday. The violence and variety of the wind create perpetual dance. The one boy in the dancing class, back stiff against the wall, was gone next week. But for me, every minute was delight. And the final polka, the magic, when Miss Barrett flew each of us all round the room, was heaven beyond ecstasy. Then I was in hospital, my legs in half splints to keep them straight. Suddenly, an irresistible tune on the dreary wireless. I hadn't been out of bed for months. I got my legs over the side. They danced in their splints. At the end, I pulled them back. No one saw. Since then, many kinds of dance, many dancings. Scottish is tricky. English Playford too. Barn dance is freer. Best of all is movement in meditation by the sea. Open, wide, free, in the land, in the wind, moving with the wind in the barley, moving with the moving earth. Thank you.
So that was lovely, lovely. Those last 3 poems, fantastic. You really, everything that the endorsers on the book say is absolutely true. You must read the book, everybody, if you haven't already. Thank you very much. Thank you, all the readers, Margaret, Katty, and Steph, and especially thanks to Harriet. And thanks to those who couldn't be with us, who've contributed their dancing, their choir, and this lovely cover. If anybody would like to, would you like to unmute and do some applause? Everybody? Yes? One round of applause before we finish.
Amazing. Huge congratulations. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you.